بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين محمد المصطفى وعلى آله ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. وما بعد. So I'll go back quickly about the different kinds of verbs. أقسام الفعل. We spoke about this already, and then we spoke about the past tense verb. فعل مضارع فعل ماض، فعل مضارع، وفعل أمر، the what we call present tense, and then the command or imperative form of the verbs. Then we did the conjugation of the verbs, and then we did a few patterns. We did فاعل, like كاتب, using كتب as an example. We did مفعول, and we did the مصدر. I did not do اسم المكان, and this is the مصدر for this verb. Then we conjugated the trilateral verb, and we did the 10 patterns also. We conjugated the present tense verb. Now what we will do is the analysis of the verbs. إعراب الأفعال. How do we analyze the verb? Grammatical analysis of verbs. So we spent a lot of time conjugating the verbs, and the nouns derived, or some of the nouns derived from those verbs. We did past tense, present tense, and the command for the first pattern extensively. Then we did the other additional 9 patterns, and there are more patterns besides these 10. There are the 4-letter verbs, there are 5 letters and 6-letter verbs, but those are not as abundant, and we will cover that later on, inshallah. I just wanted a relatively comprehensive introduction to conjugating verbs, and conjugating those other verbs follow this pattern, inshallah. So we'll come back to this part of sarf later on, inshallah. Then we did the passive form of the verb or verbs, and then we also did with weak letters, and then we did the patterns for اسم الفاعل, اسم المفعول, and al-masdar for those 10 patterns. I wanted to move on from ilm al-sarf to continue with grammar and verbs, so that we keep moving, and inshallah we'll come back and fill in some of the details. I just wanted to mix things up a little bit. So now we come to the lesson of إعراب الأفعال, the analysis of the verbs. So conjugating the verb تصريف الأفعال is من علم الصرف. What we did so far is علم الصرف, since we started with verbs. فعل, فعلت, 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 and so on. That is the تصريف الأفعال, the conjugation of the verbs. What we're doing now is إعراب الأفعال, the analysis, the grammatical analysis. So how, when you do إعراب of the sentence, how do you do analysis of the verbs? That's what we'll do here. So we'll start off with al-madi and al-amr, and then we will go to present tense. Why that's the case? Quick reminder, al-af'al al-madiyya, all of them are mabniya. So, and also for fi'al al-amr, they're all mabniya. So that's easy to do the analysis for them. But فعل المضارع أو فعل مضارع الفعل المضارع is analyzed. It's معرب most of the times. There are a few exceptions, but we will learn those now also. So we say past tense verbs are analyzed as مبني. What is علامة البناء? Sometimes it's a fatha, like in فعل, or the example I give ضرب. Sometimes it's a waw, like in ضربوا. And sometimes a sukun, like in darabtu. Now, this here is a technicality. I'll explain that in a second. Sometimes it's an alif, but we don't say it's mabniun ala al-alif, we say mabniun ala sukun, because the alif always has a sukun. Remember, alif is a long vowel, that makes the fatha long. So the alif technically always has a sukun. So if we were to say ضربا هما ضربا, we would say مبني على السكون. ضربت, there are two opinions. There are two opinions that we look at the original last letter of the verb, and we say that that is علامة الإعراب. We say ضربت or ضربت, and that the ba having sukun, that is لام الفعل, is علامة الإعراب. So we say مبني على سكون according to that opinion. The other opinion is that ضربت is a word. It's a complete word. We do not say, in the second opinion, we do not say the verb is ضرب or ضرب, and that the ta is the fa'il. We do not say that. We say ضربت is the verb. It's built like that. It's fixed. It does not change. And that the fa'il is ضمير مستتر تقديره أنا. أنا ضربت. And that's a better opinion, and it's the opinion that I normally follow. So I'm just telling you of the existence of these opinions. Regardless of which one you follow, what is important is that you say that it's mabni. So we'll say ضربت فعل مضارع مبني. Some will say مبني على السكون because لام الفعل is ساكن. And the others will say no, مبني على الضمة لأن الضمة ضربت كله الفعل. ضربت, all of it is the verb. So we don't say ضرب is the verb and tu is the fa'il. We say ضربت is the verb. So it's built like that. It never changes. ضربت will always be ضربت. I hit in the past will always be ضربت. So that's how you analyze the إعراب الفعل الماضي, the analysis of the past tense verb. It's always مبني. Remember that. وفعل أمر ومضي بني. وفعل أمر ومضي بني. That's from ألفية بن مالك. As for إعراب, did you all understand this?
Yes.
Very simple. Very simple. فعل الماضي, الفعل الماضي is always مبني. What is علامة البناء? It would be three things: فتحة, واو, and sukun. Now here, this opinion uses this as a sukun. An opinion that uses sukun that no one has any dispute concerning, Control C, is, or an example with sukun is ضربا. ضربا would be a good example with sukun. No one has any dispute concerning the fact that ضربا is مبني على السكون. إعراب فعل الأمر, the analysis of the command form of the verb. Just like the past tense, the imperative form of the verb is always analyzed as mabni. The default is with sukun. So by default, we would say, for example, in idrib, we would analyze this and say فعل أمر مبني على السكون. By default, we always put a sukun with the elimination of the last letter if it's weak. For example, the verb originally is sa'a, sa'a, which means to strive, or actually it means to run also. Sa'a, to strive. وَأَن لَيْسَ لِلْإِنسَانِ إِلَّا مَا سَعَى, that man shall not have except what he strive for. The present tense would be يَسْعَى, yes, يَسْعَى, and the command will be like here. We put إِسْعَى, إِسْعَى. So we say مبني على حذف الياء أو الألف. So let me explain this. Sa'a is originally sa'ya. Sa'ya. So the lam is originally a ya, but then it was changed to an alif because pronouncing an alif, uh, because it's a weak letter, it was changed to an alif. Because pronouncing an alif after the fatha is easier. But then it's written as what we call alif maqsura. So this ya really is an alif. It's really that, but it's written like this. It's called alif maqsura. You do not write it like this. Not that ya with the dots at the bottom, rather the ya without the dots, and that is called alif maqsura. Um, it's an it's an alif written as a ya. It's written as a ya, pronounced as an alif. When we do the, the the when we do the masdar, we would know it's originally a ya because we would return it back to a ya. It would be sa'ya, sa'yun, or sa'yan, as being the masdar. Sa'a, sa'yan. That's one of the ways to tell what the original letter is. When we do the command, we drop this alif. The alif is dropped. So we say, the way we would do the sentence if I were to say, Is'a ila al-madrasati, for example, hurry to the to to the lesson. In fact, Allah used the verb in Quran in Surah Al-Jumu'ah. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله. فاسعوا أي فا is حرف العطف. اسعوا is the command for the جماعة. تسعون أنتم تسعون, and then اسعوا is the command. The singular would be اسع بحذف الياء, or we say بحذف الألف. You can say it either way. مبني على الضمة. Why did I say this? This is not correct. مبني على حذف. Did I use a different example for that? Yeah, this is not a good example here. مبني على الضمة. I supposed to use the plural form here. Let me go back to. So this is not a good example. A better example would be, let's take this. اضربوا. 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 This is مبني على الضمة. Let me repeat that. So by default, فعل الأمر is مبني على السكون or مبني على الضمة. For example, in the plural form of the command, اضربوا. Or it's مبني على الفتحة. For example, اشربن أو اضربن. Now, we haven't studied this as yet, but I'll tell you about it. And hopefully some other place we will study the details of this. We use the noon al-khafifa or al-thaqila. Thaqila means with the shadda. Thaqila means literally means heavy, and the shadda means firm, and it's used for the same thing. We say النون الثقيلة أو النون المشددة means the same thing. The heavy noon or the noon with shadda. We use it as al-khafifa like this, idriban, to emphasize something. Ishraban. So I can say to you ishrab, ishrab, and that means drink. If I want to emphasize it, I say ishraban, and I put a noon. And now we have to put a fatha on the ba, you have to do tahrikul ba. Why did we not put kasra or dhamma? That's the way it is, and maybe the reason is because the dhamma will resemble present tense, and kasra, you just don't put a kasra on the ending of a verb. So we say ishraban to emphasize, or if you really want to emphasize the thing, ishrabanna halibak, boy, drink your milk. So you're commanding the person to do it, but with emphasis, or excessive or tremendous emphasis. The way we analyze this here is we say mabniyun ala al-fatha, because this is built like this. It cannot change. Ishrabanna, it's always a fatha on that noon. Of course, if it's a noon khafifa, we say ishraban mabni ala sukun. Or finally, it's built with eliminating the noon, on elimination of noon or something else at the end. So for instance, كل فعل مضارع اتصلت به ألف اثنين أو واو جماعة أو ياء مخاطبة. So we will, let's say we have تفعلان, تفعلون, تفعلين. We will drop this noon in each case to make the command form of the verb. The way you make the command form from the present tense, let me go over this. The way you make the command form of the verb is by taking the present tense for the second person and doing two things. You make the verb majzoom, which we would learn in coming lessons. So فعل المضارع أو الفعل المضارع would become مجزوم بحذف النون. So we'll eliminate the noon at the ending here. And then you also remove the present tense letter. So we left with ala, ala, but you can't pronounce that, so you put in hamzat al-wasl. It becomes if'ala like it is here. The same thing with tafa'aluna. We eliminate the noon at the end. And for the plural, we normally write in an alif. We call it alif ala-iwad. But it's not pronounced. That alif is not pronounced. You pronounce it tafa'alu or if'alu. So we make it majzoom بحذف النون, and then we also eliminate the present tense letter, and you have to put hamzatul wasl to be able to start. if'alu. Tafa'alina, we do the same thing. We remove the present tense letter, and then we also make it majzoom بحذف النون. And of course, you have to put in hamzatul wasl to be able to pronounce it. It becomes if'ali. So that's how you normally make the command form from the present tense, except for one exception. So there's one exception to this. I'll put in the exception in here. No, let me put it somewhere else. Except for the plural, PLU plural, sorry, PLU plural, feminine form of the verb. So if we were to look at if'alna, we would say if'alna. What happened there? I think it's better to make this from the right and then it's except for this form of the verb, if al na. It's originally, excuse me, taf'alna. So we say about a group of women. تفعلن. أنتن تفعلن. أنت تفعل. أنتم تفعلون. أنت تفعلين. And أنتن تفعلن. So that's how we make the present tense verb. This one here is when you make it present tense, because this verb is mabniya, it does not change at the ending, you do not eliminate the noon. Rather, you eliminate only the present tense letter. You eliminate only the present tense letter and put hamzatul wasl, and it becomes if'alna. So mabniyun ala al-fatha, that would be an example here also. See, we would say if'alna, if'alna, mabniyun ala al-fatha. So let me repeat that. There are 5 verbs, or actually 4 in second person, that are having noon at the ending. تفعلين, تفعلان, تفعلون, and تفعلن. These 4 forms of the verbs, when you make them into command, you will eliminate the noon at the ending, hadf noon. You eliminate the present tense letter and you put hamzatul wasl, because you put hamzatul wasl if the fa has sukoon. The reason why I say that is if the fa doesn't have sukoon, you don't have to put hamzatul wasl. I'll give you an example of that in a second. Except for if'alna, you do not eliminate the noon at the ending. So the feminine plural will always have that noon at the ending. You just will eliminate the present tense letter. And if the fa has a sukoon, you'll put hamzatul wasl. Let me give you an example of a present tense where you do not put hamzatul wasl. For example, if we were to say tudarrisu, or tudarrisina, for instance, tudarrisina, tudarrisina. So if we were to make this into command the way we do, we eliminate the noon, hadf noon, we eliminate the present tense letter, and it becomes darrisi. There's no need for hamzatul wasl. Why? Because the dal doesn't have sukoon. See that? The dal has a fatha. So we can pronounce the dal with fatha ibtida, and we don't need hamzatul wasl lil ibtida. So we say darrisi, allimi, allimu, darrisu, for instance, yeah. أو darrisa, tudarrisani, darrisa. If it was this form of the verb, we would say darrisna. So if we give an example of this here, we would say tu darrisna. So this here is tu darrisna. Tudarrisna is the present tense form of feminine plural. We do not eliminate the noon, but we eliminate the present tense letter, and it remains darrisna, allimna. Allah says, وَاذْكُرْنَ مَا يُتْلَى فِي بُيُوتِكُنَّ مِنْ آيَاتِ اللَّهِ وَالْحِكْمَةِ. In fact, there are a few more examples in that ayah, so I'll just pull up that ayah here for you so we can just look at some more examples for that. That is Surah Al-Ahzab, and it's approximately verse 30, somewhere there. Actually, further than that. يا نساء النبي لستن كأحد من النساء إن اتقيتن فلا تخضعن بالقول فيطمع الذي في قلبه مرض وقلن قولا معروفا. قلنا قلنا is the command form. تقولنا, and we do not drop the noon when we make it command. We say قلنا, and the waw has been eliminated, which is the ayn of the verb, because it's a weak letter. وقرنا, same thing. قرنا is تقرنا, and then you drop the ta only. And then تبرجنا, تبرجنا. It's originally تتبرجنا. It's the actually no. This is present tense because of la الناهية. This is present tense, and the first ta is eliminated because that happens sometimes on the verbs that are in the pattern of تتفعل أو تتفعلن here. وأقمنا, this is a command form of the verb. تقمنا, this is the fourth pattern, so you'll put that hamza to القطع at the starting. وأطعنا الله, from أطاع يطيع, and this is a hamza to القطع, you put that there in the command form. واذكرنا, the present tense is تذكرنا, and we leave the noon alone, and the ta we drop. ما يتلى في بيوتكم من آيات الله والحكمة. Point I want to make, so let me go over that again, is the command form of the verbs. قلنا, the noon remains. قرنا, the noon remains. تبرجنا is different. أقمنا, the noon remains. أطعنا, the noon remains. So we do not eliminate the noon. And also واذكرنا. This is a command feminine plural. These were all commands to the wives of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Radiyallahu anhunna. So let me go over this again briefly. The i'rab fi'al al-amr, we always say it's mabni. Just like the madi, we say fi'al al-amr is always mabni. What is alamatul bina? Sukun, waw, fatha in these two examples, or hasfun noon. Also, weak letters, you will do hasf. So the example that I had above, if I were to say tas'a, let's use the present tense to form it. Tas'a. If we want to form the command from this, let me put in the vowels. Tas'a, anta tas'a. We make this command form by eliminating harful illa at the ending, the weak letter, and then we eliminate the present tense letter, and we put hamzatul wasl. It becomes is'a, is'a. Also let me give you another example. Tahdi, anta tahdi, tahdi, and this is a lot in the Quran, by the way. Anta tahdi. It's originally tahdiyu. Hada, yahdi. It's originally yahdiyu and tahdiyu. But pronouncing the ya with a dhamma after a sukun, a letter with kasra is difficult. So the Arabs make it easy and they put a sukun. So that's part of what we learn in weak letters, conjugating weak letters in present tense. So the present tense is tahdi, anta tahdi. Allah says in the Quran, innaka la tahdi man ahbabt. Also Allah says, wa innaka la tahdi ila sirati mustaqim. That's a better example. Wa innaka la here is for emphasis, meaning indeed. Tahdi is the present tense. How do you make it command? You eliminate the weak letter at the ending. You eliminate the present tense letter, and then you put hamzatul wasl. See that? We're supposed to eliminate fatha also. And then you put hamzatul wasl, it becomes ihdi. That's why in Surah Al-Fatiha, Allah says ihdi. The verb is ihdi. The na is what we call damirun muttasilun maf'ulun bihi, al-maf'ulun bihi al-awwal. Okay, so you always add hamzatul wasl at the starting of the command form of the verb if the fa of the verb has a sukun. You put hamzatul wasl if the fa has a sukun, except for the fourth form of the verb. So if I were to remind you of that quickly. So if we were to look at the fourth pattern of the trilateral verb, that is af'ala. So it starts with hamzatul qata', af'ala. So when you make the command, we would have tufa'ilu, anta tufa'ilu, and we would, when we eliminate the ta with the dhamma, we would put hamzatul qata'. Only in the fourth form of the trilateral verb, we would use hamzatul qata' in the command. We say af'il instead of if'il. Why we do that? Excuse me. The reason why is if we had said instead if'il, then this resembled the trilateral verb. You wouldn't be able to tell that this command came from af'ala. Hence, as a result, so that you know it came from af'ala, we use hamzatul qata' in the command form of the verb. So that, Sister Salwa, is the reason. So you use hamzatul qata' only in the fourth pattern of the trilateral verb. Otherwise, you always use hamzatul wasl at the starting of the command form of the verb if the fa has a sukoon. Okay. And that's it. That's how you analyze fi'l al-amr. Is that clear? Pretty much you memorize the conjugation and you look for whatever's at the ending. And that's the alamatul bina. And by the way, there's some opinions in these matters anyway. There's some opinions in the matter. And I don't want to complicate it too much, so I didn't throw that in. The analysis of present tense verb. This is a little bit more detailed, and I'll explain why it's a bit more detailed. So the present tense form of the verb is more detailed. Why is that? Because it's not mabni. The fi'al al-mudari is originally mu'rab. Al-Imam Ibn Malik in his Alfiya said, وفعل أمر ومضي بني وأعرب مضارعا إن عري من نون توكيد مباشر ومن نون إناث كيرعن منفت. Excuse me. So let's go over this. Present tense verbs are analyzed, meaning they are mu'rab, as mu'rab, except in two cases. When it has the noon of emphasis placed at the ending, here it is mabni with fatha or with sukun. And when it has the noon of feminine plural at the ending, here it's mabni with sukun or fatha. Two opinions. And I'll show you examples of that. The default grammatical analysis for the other present tense verbs is marfu'. Sometimes they will be mansub for reasons that we will explain in the next lesson, and sometimes they will be majzoom that we will explain in the following lesson. So let me give you first when fi'l al-mudari is mabni. So fi'l al-mudari by default is mu'arab. It's mabni in two cases. One is if it have noon al-tawkid. Noon al-tawkid either al-thaqila or al-khafifa. كتب الله لأغلبن أنا ورسلي. The أغلبن is originally لا أغلب. لا أغلب or أغلب. But when you put the lam التوكيد here, you can also say لا أغلبن, and you put the noon uh, الثقيلة at the ending, and then you will change that to a fatha. Because if you put a dhamma أغلبن, it makes it plural. لا أغلبن. كتب الله لا أغلبن. لا تغلبن would be plural with a fatha. There's no أغلبن because أغلب is singular. لا أغلبن, meaning that la is an emphasis. It's emphasized at the starting of the verb and it's emphasized at the ending of the verb. And by the way, the Mufassirin have done a subtlety in the explanation of this verb that says when Allah emphasizes a verb at the starting and the ending, that means that Allah is emphasizing the action before and after it's done. So this is saying Allah has written, Allah has decreed it in the past that I will indeed be victorious. Ana wa rusuli, I and my messengers. That victory is there even before the battle take place in divine decree, during the battle and after the battle. So here we say, the way we analyze this present tense verb, we would say لا أغلبن. Lam at-tawkid, we say this lam is for emphasis. أغلبن فعل مضارع مبني على السكون أو الفتحة. When I say fatha, I mean with أغلبن or sukun أغلبن. So you can say لا أغلبن to emphasize a verb, but that is a small amount of emphasis, and you put the shadda for more emphasis. Or it's مبني على السكون. So for present tense verb that are feminine plural, we say it's مبني على السكون, or there is an opinion that the noon is part of the verb and the noon is not the fa'il. Let me explain that. I mentioned it before. وَالْمُطَلَّقَاتُ يَتَرَبَّصْنَ. يَتَرَبَّصْنَ comes from the verb, the fifth pattern of the verb, تَرَبَّصَ. تَرَبَّصَ. This is the fifth pattern of the verb. تَرَبَّصَ. تَفَعَّلَ. How do we make the present tense? We put ya, present tense ya, and then we make the sod with a sukun, and we put na, noon al-jama'a. يَتَرَبَّصْنَ. They, a group of women, and divorced women shall wait. يَتَرَبَّصْنَ mean wait. Here, in this context. Tarabbus is used for other meaning in Quran, like we saw in Surah An-Naba. Inna jahannama kanat mirsada, to lie in ambush. Divorced women are not lying in ambush. Hey, but who knows? There's divine wisdom in the choice of the word yatarabbasna instead of yantadirna. Wow, I never saw that. I did not see that. But now I see it. Hey, when you get divorced, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, they lie in ambush. Anyway, sometimes, coming back to grammar, coming back to only grammar, Allah says, وَالْمُطَلَّقَاتُ يَتَرَبَّصْنَ, that the divorced women wait. Here, there's a waiting period. The way we analyze this is we say it's mabniyun ala sukun. That is one opinion. The other opinion is no. It's mabniyun ala al-fatha. Why is that the case? They say because the fatha is part of the verb. You cannot separate the noon from the verb. If you take away the noon, that the verb no longer exists, because that noon there is part of the build, the structure of the verb. This verb does not change. That noon never removes, even in the state of jazm, in the state of nas. That noon is always there, hence is mabniyun ala al-fatha. Excuse me, that's one opinion. The way we'll analyze it, if we say it's mabniyun ala sukun, is we will say that yatarabbasna فعل مضارع مبني على السكون والنون is الفاعل أو الفاعلات. Noon is الفاعل. That's one opinion. The other opinion says no. That's not correct. By the way, I go with the second opinion. يتربصن, that the noon is part of the verb. So we say فعل مضارع مبني على الفتحة والفاعل ضمير مستتر تقديره أنتن. هن here it's يتربصن هن والفاعل ضمير مستتر تقديره هن يرجع إلى المطلقات. That refers to المطلقات. So that's two opinions. Regardless, let me summarize this again. فعل المضارع are by default مرفوع. Sometimes they are منصوب because of certain reasons that we will examine. Sometimes they are majzoom, that we will see the reasons why they become mansub and majzoom later on. By default, they are marfu, except for two forms of the verb. If you put noon al-tawkid at the ending, either al-thaqila or al-khafifa, or noon al-jama'a for jama'atul niswa, for female plural. Do you all understand that? Hello?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
So the present tense verb, we will say, anytime you see a present tense verb, we say present tense verb is mu'rab, except two cases. If it has the noon al-thaqila at the ending or noon khafifa, we say it's mabni ala sukun or fatha. If it has noon al-jama'a at the ending for jama'atul niswa, feminine plural, we would say that it's mabni on either on sukun or fatha, and it's just two opinions. Whichever you choose, it's fine. Nobody's going to argue with you, really. And I normally go with my opinion, and that's the way I always analyze it. It's mabni ala al-fatha because I see this noon as being part of the verb. It's not independent of the verb. The default for the marfu is dhamma. Mansub, fatha, majzoom, sukun. This is what happened when you cut and paste stuff. There are 5 specific verbs that are different. So the default analysis, it's marfu, and it would be marfu with dhamma. When it's mansub with fatha. When it's majzoom with sukun. That's the default. I'll give you an example before I continue, or I will be giving you examples afterward. In fact, I wouldn't. So I should do it right here. So if we take the verb taktubu, taktubu. So if we say taktubu, we say anta taktubu, you write. Taktubul الرسالة, for example, letter. You're writing the letter. أنت تكتب الرسالة أو تكتب الرسالة. We do analysis of this. We say تكتب فعل مضارع مرفوع وعلامة الرفع الضمة على آخره. أن الرسالة مفعول به منصوب وعلامة النصب الفتحة على آخره. If we say, if we make this verb, so let's take the same sentence, Control C, and we make Control V, and we make it mansub, If I were to say to you, you will never write the letter because somehow you're being lazy. You're not getting to it, right? Lan taktuba lan, we put lan in front, and we will find out all the reasons later. So this is one example. Lan, when you use lan, we call it حرف النفي للفعل في المستقبل. This negates the verb in the future. لن تفعل كذا وكذا, you will never do such and such. So we put لن in front of تكتب الرسالة, it becomes لن تكتب. So لن makes the present tense verb منصوب, and by default it becomes منصوب with فتحة. So the way we would analyze this sentence here, we would say لن حرف النفي للفعل المضارع في المستقبل تنصب الفعل المضارع فعل المضارع تكتب منصوب بالفتحة أن الرسالة remain مفعول به منصوب. Let's copy the sentence again. If we were to say lam, you never in the past wrote the letter. You did not write the letter in the past. We take present tense verb. So there are two ways to say you did not do something in the past. By saying ma katabta. Katabta mean you wrote something in the past, and then you put ma and nafiya in front, and it becomes ma katabta. You never wrote it in the past. But lam taktub has an additional meaning. It means you didn't write it in the past, and most likely up to now you didn't write it. There's a little technicality there why I said most likely. Lam taktub, it becomes majzoom. So we say lam حرف الجزم للفعل في الماضي تدخل على الفعل المضارع فتجزم. It is placed in front of the present tense verb and it makes it مجزوم. لم تكتب الرسالة. But check this out. Especially in Quran, we would not put a fatha, a sukun on the ba. We would put a kasra. Why we put a kasra? It's because you have this ra has a shadda, not on the ra, الرسالة, so kasra. So this alif and this lam is not pronounced. So we have a ra with shadda, which really is like two ra, one with a sukun, one with a kasra. So if I were to split it open like that, so you can see what I'm saying, and then we take off the shadda here, and then we remove the alif and lam because we're not pronouncing them, just so you can see it. It becomes visible what I'm talking about, and we put back the sukun on the ba. So what we have here, nutqan in pronunciation, not in writing. You never write it like this. This is only the way you would pronounce it. We have the sukun of the ba meeting the sukun of the ra. And in Arabic, we don't allow what we call iltiqa sakinain, two sukun meeting. You have to eliminate it. So we would put here a kasra on the ba. Lam taktub al-risala. Lam taktub al-risala. The reason we don't put a dhamma is because we don't want you to think it's marfu. The reason we don't put a fatha, we don't want you to think it's mansub. So we put a kasra on it just for pronunciation, and it will be written like Lam taktub al-risala. But the way we would analyze this, if I find an example in Quran, for example, lam taf'alu wa lan taf'alu, lam taf'alu, that's plural. If I come across an example, I'll let you know. But if this was an example in the Quran, we would write in the kasra and we would say lam taktub, lam harful jazmi تدخل على الفعل المضارع أو حرف النفي تجزم فعل المضارع. We would say تكتب is فعل مضارع مجزوم. Check this out now. This is going to be a little lengthy, but listen, you'll understand. مبني على السكون منع من ظهوره اشتغال المحل بالكسرة للتخلص من التقاء الساكنين. That, let me say that in English. The taktub is present tense verb built on a sukun, but you are prevented from seeing the sukun because the place is occupied by a kasra, that is placed there to eliminate two sukoons meeting. That's what I said there in Arabic. مبني على السكون منع من ظهوره اشتغال المحل بالكسرة للتخلص من التقاء الساكنين. It's kind of lengthy, but that's it. So let me go over this now. We say by فعل المضارع by default it's مرفوع and it's مرفوع with ضمة. It becomes mansub by default with fatha as in this case, and it becomes majzoom with sukun as in this case. Or if we want to see the sukun, let's remove the alif and lam. لن تكتب رسالة. You never wrote a letter. So this is saying this guy never writes any letter ever at all. And of course we'll put the tanween back here because there's no need to eliminate the tanween. لم تكتب رسالة. You never wrote a letter. You always write emails, for instance. Perhaps this is true for most young kids these days. Never wrote a letter. They always write emails, which kind of ways we say it's a message. That's the default. If you don't mind, I need to pause here for a minute and come back and show. So if we were to look at the present tense forms of the verb, let's go back to the first pattern. How many forms of the verb do we have? How many unique forms of the verb? We have يفعل, تفعل. Well, تفعل is the same if we don't count the pronoun. So we have يفعل, تفعل, تفعلين, أفعل, يفعلان, تفعلان, نفعل, يفعلون, يفعلن, تفعلون, تفعلن. So here we have 1, 2, not counting the repeated one, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 forms of the present tense verb. We have 5 forms of the verb. تفعلين. I'm going to highlight these. Take a color that is different from everything that I've used so far. So let's say gold maybe. So we take تفعلين, يفعلان, تفعلان, يفعلون, and تفعلون. These 5 forms of the verb ending with noon. We have 2 other forms of the verb ending with noon. يفعلن. So let's highlight that with a different color, say the gray. And تفعلن, we highlight that with gray. These 2 we already covered. هن يفعلن and أنتن تفعلن. Both are مبني. Either on sukun in one opinion, تفعلن مبني على السكون, or on fatha in another opinion, if you consider the noon as part of the verb and not an identification of the fa'il. These 2 verbs, because it's plural feminine, third person, and plural feminine, second person, are mabniya. So we already covered that. This and this are mabniya. These 4 forms of the verb, يفعل. Let's highlight that with a different color. Too dark. Maybe that, yeah. تفعل, يفعل, تفعل. And this one is تفعل also. So we'll go ahead and highlight it also. تفعل. أفعل and نفعل. Are like these examples. تكتب, تكتب, تكتب. Let me explain that. يفعل is مرفوع وعلامة الرفع ضمة. If it's منصوب, we say يفعل. يفعل. We would say منصوب with fatha. If it's majzoom, we say majzoom with sukun. Let's put that back. The same for the other forms that I highlighted in this maroon color here. يفعل, excuse me, is مرفوع بضمة تفعل مرفوع بالضمة، أفعل مرفوع بالضمة، نفعل مرفوع بالضمة. منصوب بالفتحة، يفعل، تفعل، أفعل، النفعل. مجزوم بالسكون، يفعل، تفعل، تفعل، أفعل، نفعل. So these 5 forms of the present tense verb, or 4 really, because here and anta is the same verb, except that the pronoun is different. So if for just for this example, if I were to eliminate I eliminate the pronoun and join these 2 cells, just for this example, تفعل. So we have these 4 forms of the verb: يفعل, تفعل, أفعل, نفعل. There are the 4 verbs that start with the present tense letter: ya, ta, hamza, and noon. Everything else for the verbs are the same. يفعل, هو يفعل, تفعل, أنت تفعل, or هي تفعل, أنا أفعل, ونحن نفعل. The verbs are identical. The only thing that differ is the present tense letter, which identifies whether it's third or second or first person. And then at the ending, or the rest of the verb, the fa'in and nam would remain the same always. It becomes marfu with dhamma, mansub with fatha, and majzoom with kasra. That's these 5. These 2 we already did. We have hunna yafa'alna and tunna tafa'alna are mabniya. So there remains these 5 highlighted in gold. Are you all following? I want to make sure you follow.
Yes.
So how do we do the i'rab of these 5 that's remaining? Very simple. We say, okay, 2 opinions again. Some will say it's marfu'un bil ya. Some would say with alif, and some would say with waw. Others would say no, marfu'un bi thubutin noon, by the noon remaining there, which is a better opinion, by the way. By the noon remaining. When it becomes mansub, look what happened. It becomes mansub bihadf noon. So we eliminate the noon and it becomes anti tafa'ali or lan tafa'ali. So if we were to just stick lan in front there, just for the example, lan, meaning you never will. Lan tafa'ali. So I'll copy the lan. If we replace the pronoun here with lan also, Control V, we say lan yafa'ala. Oops, put back the alif. And lan, Control V, tafa'ala, hadf noon again. Lan yafa'alu, and you drop the noon. But with the plural, when you drop the noon, you put in alif al-iwad. You put an alif. The alif is not pronounced. It's just written. It's never ever pronounced. It's only written. And the same here. Lan tafa'alu. Lan tafa'alu. So it becomes these 5 forms of the verb ending with the noon, of course, other than hunna and antunna, because those 2 are mabniya, becomes mansub bihadf noon. All 5 of them. You eliminate the noon to make it mansub. You also eliminate the noon to make it majzoom. For example, you say lam. Lam, meaning you never did in the past. We say lam yafa'ala. So we also make it majzoom with the hadf of the noon. Everything else remains the same. It's mansub and majzoom bihadf noon. Both cases, you eliminate the noon to make it mansub, and you eliminate the noon to make it majzoom. Why did I use lan to make it mansub? Because lan, when it's placed in front of the present tense verb, it makes it mansub, and lam makes it majzoom. So for both al-jazm, nasbi, and al-jazm, these 5 forms of the verb, you eliminate the noon. And that's what I explain here in this chart. I say there are 5 special verbs that are different. There are the 5 verbs ending with a noon not the noon of feminine plural, which is fixed, that's mabni, and not analyzed, and not mu'raba. They are يفعل يفعلان يفعلون تفعلان تفعلون and تفعلين. These 5 forms of the verb becomes mansub and majzoom with the eradication of the noon. So going over present tense verb again, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 4, 11. 11 unique forms of the present tense verbs. 2 of them are mabniya. That's the feminine plural hunna and antunna. Hunna yaf'alna and antunna taf'alna. They are mabniya. 4 of them are marfu with dhamma, mansub with fatha, and majzoom with sukun. These are the ones highlighted in maroon. Yaf'alu, taf'alu, af'alu, naf'alu. And the other 5, or the remaining 5, we should say, that end with noon becomes mansub and majzoom bihadfin noon. That's how you do i'rab of the present tense verbs. Excuse me. Is that clear?
Yes.
Yeah. It's pretty easy. It's just a matter of remembering. And let me, oh boy, quite some restoring to do here. Oh, I just wouldn't save this. Close. I don't want to save this because I need that for other classes. So that's how you do i'rab of فعل المضارع. Now we probably should take a pause here. That's a lot. Or y'all want to continue? It's fine with me.
I can continue without pause, but it depends on the others.
Okay, so I'm fine. So I'll just show you this chart, and then we'll go over the details, perhaps in another lesson. So this here I call it جدول حالات إعراب الأفعال المضارعة المعربة. The jadwal mean table or chart. حالات states. إعراب analysis. الأفعال verbs. المضارعة present tense. المعربة that are analyzed. So this is a chart for the states of analysis for the present tense verbs that are analyzed. So we say there are 3 states. المرفوعات, the verbs that are marfu'. المنصوبات, the verbs that are mansub. And المجزومات, that are majzoom. الأصل للفعل المضارع الرفع. And I probably can make this chart a little bigger. Why not? So the default الأصل للفعل المضارع الرفع, that the default for the present tense verb is الرفع, that is marfu'. So by default, present tense verb are created marfu'. You need a reason to make it mansub or majzoom. If no reason exists, it remains marfu'. That's the way you analyze or you look at present tense verbs. By the way, it's the same thing for the asma. By default, al-asma, other than the mabniya, so there are some of them that are fixed. Fixed mean it's not marfu or mansub or majzoom. But if it's not mabni, if it's mu'rab, by default it's marfu', and you need a reason to make the ism mansub or majroor. So we need a reason to make the verb mansub or a reason to make it majzoom. What are the reasons? These are the most popular reasons. So let me go ahead, and it's already in a page of its own. Is there any way to bring this away? We see the whole page. One page, I guess, nearly. If I make this bigger, it will do it. So if I do like this. So we say al-mansubat and al-masdariyah. I'll tell you the meanings of them in a second. Lan al-masdariyah, إذن المصدرية, كي المصدرية, لام تعليل, لا, لام الجحود, إلا, sorry, لام الجحود لا, حتى, فاء السببية المسبوقة بالنفي أو الطلب. I'll explain that. واو المعية المسبوقة بنفي أو الطلب، أو التي بمعنى إلى أو إلا. واو. So these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 reasons. So we have here 10 reasons why the verb is going to become mansub. When it becomes mansub, we already study what you do. So we know that, excuse me, if the verb is mansub, we do as we had shown. Oh, it would have been worthwhile to save that. Yeah, it's gone. There's no undoing of. No, I didn't save it. Yeah. So we saw what happened when it's mansub. It will become mansub with fatha, with 4 forms of the verb. Mansub with hadf noon for 5 forms of the verb, and it's mabni for 2 forms of the verb. Majzoom, reasons for making a word majzoom. If you put lam, remember we were using lan and lam as 2 examples. Also lamma. Lamma is similar to lam. We'll tell you the meaning of that. Lamul amr. I put in parentheses here lamul du'a. It's because if we're talking to Allah, we don't say the lam of command. La an-nahiya aw ad-du'a. La ad-du'a. La tu'akhidhna. We don't say it's a command to Allah. We say du'a. In, also called in a shartiya. Illa, the exception. Ma, an-nafiya. الناهية, sorry, من الشرطية or ما الشرطية, من الشرطية, and أينما الشرطية. So how many reasons are these? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we have here 10 reasons why the verb would become mansub, and 10 reasons why the verb would become majzoom, and by default the verbs are, excuse me, marfu, except 2 of them, hunna yaf'alna and antunna, excuse me, taf'alna, are mabniya. And the other 9 forms of the present tense verbs are mu'raba. 4 of them, marfu'un with dhamma, mansubun with fatha, and majzumun with kasra. And the other 5, marfu'un bi ithbatin nun, or thubutin nun, and mansubun بحذف النون and مجزوم بحذف النون. How do we use these and what do they mean? I have examples below here, inshallah. So now we'll go ahead. So that was just a chart to give you a bird's eye view, and then we can take each one of them one by one and use the example. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So these are 10 the examples for the mansubat. The majzumat we have here. Examples 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, and these makes 2 of them majzum. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you have 5 forms of the harf that makes the sentence majzum, but it makes 2 verbs majzum, not only 1. And then there are 4 that makes 1 verb majzum. The verbs that make 2 verbs, the huruf that makes 2, or the words, I shouldn't say huruf, the words, because some of them are asma. The words that make 2 verbs majzum are all conditional sentences. And I'll explain that when we come. So these are examples. Let's go ahead and
start from the very top. So we say, we'll go through as much as we can of this, and then finish off next time, inshallah. Harfu nasbi. So I have a chart here, the usage, example, and what it means. So the most important part, we look at the example. So let's take an. We call it an al-masdariya. It's also called an, did I say al-masdariya? Yeah, an al-masdariya, al-nasiba. An al-nasiba al-masdariya is what a lot of people say. And that makes the verb into a masdar or verbal noun. What does it mean, make it in a masdar? It makes it sound as if it's an ism. When you put this an in front of a present tense verb, remember we talk about present tense verbs right now. When you put an in front of the present tense verb, it converts the an and the verb to mean an ism, a masdar. إن الله لا يستحيي أن يضرب مثلا. This here means إن الله لا يستحيي من ضرب مثل. We use min because يستحيي requires the min in front of the noun. أن يضرب is changed to ضرب in the meaning. But let me do first the grammar. إن الله لا يستحيي أن يضرب. We say أن الناصبة حرف النصب المصدرية تدخل على الفعل المضارع فتنصب أو فتنصب. We say أن يضرب. It's originally يضرب. When we put an, it becomes يضرب because it's one of those four that is منصوب بالفتحة. مثلا مفعول به منصوب وعلامة النصب الفتحة على آخره. This is an ayah from Surah Al-Baqarah. Allah is not shy to present analogies. Present يضرب, to put forth. So and you find this a lot in Quran, by the way. And that would not be a bad exercise for you guys, is to go through the surahs that we're doing. Maybe why not an-nazi'at? Why don't we use an-nazi'at as example, seeing that we would do the tafsir of Surah Al-Nazi'at next week, inshallah. I would suggest for all of you to look. I'll send this chart, these two charts for you, and look for all of these huruf al-nasb, harf al-nasb or huruf al-nasb, and huruf al-jazmi. See if you can find them in Surah Al-Nazi'at. I'm quite sure there must be some of them. Lan that negates the action in the future, negates the action ever happening in the future. Allah says in Quran, فَإِن لَمْ تَفْعَلُوا وَلَن تَفْعَلُوا. Now the example we want here is لَن تَفْعَلُوا. It's originally تَفْعَلُونَ. It's one of those five verbs, that present tense verbs that end with the noon, that becomes mansub with حذف النون. So this is originally تَفْعَلُونَ أَنْتُمْ تَفْعَلُونَ, and it becomes لَن تَفْعَلُوا. لَن تَفْعَلُوا. Also, we have an example of jazm with lam here. It becomes majzoom بحذف النون also. So this is a good example to show that both jazm and nasb is with حذف النون, because this verb is the same verb. تفعلون تفعلون لم تفعلوا ولن تفعلوا. So this ayah is saying وإن كنتم في ريب مما نزلنا على عبيدنا فأتوا بسورة من مثله وادعوا شهداءكم من دون الله إن كنتم صادقين فإن لم تفعلوا ولن تفعلوا فاتقوا النار التي وقودها الناس والحجارة وعدت للكافرين. Allah says, and if you have doubt concerning what was sent down to our messenger, our slave, excuse me, على عبيدنا. Let me show you the ayahs we're talking about it. Surah Al-Baqarah. Allah says here, وَإِن كُنْتُمْ فِي رَيْبٍ مِمَّا نَزَّلْنَا عَلَى عَبِيدِنَا. And if you have doubt concerning what we sent upon our slave, that's Rasulullah sallam, فَأْتُوا بِسُورَةٍ مِّن مِثْلِ. Then bring a surah like it. وَادْعُوا شُهَدَاءَكُم مِّن دُونِ اللَّهِ. And call to your assistance all your witnesses or helpers. Shuhada here mean helpers other than Allah, if you are speaking the truth. In kuntum sadiqin. So when they claim that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam fabricated the Quran, Allah is saying, okay, if he did it, you can do it also, right? What's special about him? If he's not a messenger, he's just like you. He did it, let me see you do it also. By the way, which is one of the greatest challenges of Quran to humanity, that no one has been able to take hold of and fulfill. No one, and there are many people who attempted, by the way. A lot of people attempted and made a mockery out of themselves. Started off with Musaylama al-Kadhdhab. But I don't want to digress too much. He said some hilarious stuff. Trumpistic stuff. He didn't know it was that at the time though. فَإِن لَمْ تَفْعَلُوا, Allah answered, Allah says, and if you never did in the past, وَلَن تَفْعَلُوا, and he's saying, and you will never do it in the future, فَاتَّقُوا النَّارَ الَّتِي وَقُودُهَا النَّاسُ وَالْحِجَارَةُ. Fear the fire, beware of the fire, avoid the fire. That's what fattaqu here means. Protect yourself from the fire. Literally, protect yourself from the fire, the fuel of which are people and stones prepared for the disbelievers. So Allah is saying here, if you never did it in the past, and we know no one did it at the time of the descent of Quran, no one did it, and of course we also know today that no one ever did it. And وَلَن تَفْعَلُوا, and you will never be able to do it, then fear the fire. So here we have lam الجازمة تدخل على الفعل المضارع فتجزم وعلامة الجزم حذف النون ولن الناصبة تدخل على الفعل المضارع فتنصب وعلامة النصب حذف النون. So in both cases تفعلون becomes لم تفعلوا and لن تفعلوا. إذن I didn't put an example because I didn't find an example in Quran, and I was trying to find all my examples in Quran. Let me use an example in just normal English. Study, and you shall pass the test. So if I were to make a sentence like that, I say udrus, and this is fi'l al-amr, udrus. Why did we say u with a dhamma on hamzatul wasl? Because the ayn of the verb has a dhamma. Udrus, idhan tanjaha أو تفوز. So let's say tanjaha. So I say to the student or my son or whoever it is, study, idhan, as a result, tanjaha, idhan tanjaha. Then, so this idhan is used to mean as a result of study. Study so that you pass, is how we would probably say it in English. So that, or as a result, so that you pass, yeah. إذا تنجح. So this is an example of فعل المضارع منصوب وعلامة النصب الفتحة على آخره with إذا. But I don't know, I can't find an example in Quran. There probably is one, but I couldn't see one. Kai. Kai also makes the present tense verb mansub. Kai that explains that what precedes it is the reason for what comes after. So kai is kind of like a conjunction saying that something happened, and the reason is what is what preceded it. Allah says, for example, about Musa alayhi salam, and this is in Surah Al-Qasas, فَرَجَعْنَاكَ إِلَى أُمِّكَ كَيْ تَقَرَّ عَيْنُهَا كَيْ تَقَرَّ عَيْنُهَا فَرَجَعْنَاكَ إِلَى أُمِّكَ. So we returned you, this is Musa alayhi salam, Allah is addressing Musa alayhi salam, to your mom, Kai, so that. So we'll translate this as Kai means here, so that. Kai taqarra. So taqarru is the present tense. From qarra, yaqarru, taqarru, taqarra becomes mansub at fatha. Aynuha. So literally what it means, so that her eyes become pleased. So you be depressed. You all probably heard the phrase qurratu aynin. And Allah actually used that in Quran, qurratu aynin li walaka. This is the Aziz saying to his wife, the wife of the Aziz saying to her husband, do not kill Yusuf alayhi salam, or take Yusuf alayhi salam. It is possible he'll become the pleasure of our eyes. قُرَّةُ عَيْنٍ لِي وَلَكَ لَا تَقْتُلُوهُ عَسَىٰ أَن يَنفَعَنَا. The wife of Fir'aun, not Aziz. The wife of Fir'aun saying about Musa alayhi salam. I mixed up two stories. That's the wife of Musa saying, the wife of Fir'aun saying about Musa alayhi salam, don't kill him, that possible he can become the pleasure of our eyes. كَيْ تَقَرَّ عَيْنُهَا, so that her eyes can be pleased, meaning she can be pleased. We don't say eyes. So when you translate, you cannot be literal. You cannot translate a word. You have to translate the meaning. When we say كَيْ تَقَرَّ عَيْنُهَا, it's a phrase used in Arabic that has a meaning. We just translate the meaning, not the words. Then we returned you to your mother so that she be pleased. We don't say her eyes be pleased. That's not an expression we use in English. So that she be pleased. And that's the example of Kai. لام تعليل. لام تعليل is very similar to the meaning of Kai. It explains the reason or the justification for something happening. The lam of justification. What do we mean justification? It's explaining why something happened. وَلِيَعْلَمَ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَيَتَّخِذَ مِنكُمْ شُهَدَاءَ. واو حرف العطف لي لام التعليلية أو لام تعليل. يعلم is originally يعلم. Is originally يعلم. But of course, when we put in the lam, it becomes يعلم. وَلِيَعْلَمَ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. الَّذِينَ آمَنوا, we say the صلة and the موصول في محل النصب. في محل النصب مفعول ليعلم. It's the مفعول به ليعلم. It's the object of the verb know, so that Allah knows those who have iman. So that's لام تعليلية. لام الجحود. لام الجحود, the lam that negates the action after it because the negative verb kana was before it. The negative form of kana, not negative verb, negative form of the verb kana. Because this implies that the verb kana is negative. No, the negative form that is with ma. وَمَا كَانَ اللَّهُ لِيُعَذِّبَهُمْ وَأَنْتَ فِيهِمْ. وَمَا كَانَ اللَّهُ, and it was not for Allah. That's the way we translate it. Literally, and Allah was not. Allah was not to punish them while you were amongst them. Allah was not to punish them. But a more precise translation in English, following the syntax of English and ignoring the Arabic syntax, is we say, and it was not for Allah to punish them while you are amongst them. Or Allah would not punish them. Allah would not punish them while you're amongst them. By the way, this ayah is talking about when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was in Mecca. Kufaru Mecca used to mock at him and say, if what you're saying is the truth, then pour upon us stones from the heavens to punish us. And Allah says that the reason, one of the reasons, in fact, a primary reason why Allah did not punish them is not because they didn't deserve punishment. They deserved the punishment, but the presence of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam amongst them was a protection for them. Subhanallah. Here they are mocking at him. This is not grammar lesson. This is just a lesson in life. And he is their protection. And by the way, let me just say this. We can talk as much bad we want as the Muslims in the world. We have a lot of flaws. We are imperfect as an ummah. But by Allah, one of our benefits to humanity without them realizing it is that as long as they are believers remaining on earth, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would not destroy the earth completely. It is only after all the believers have died, and there's a hadith speaking about this, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bring about the ending of the dunya. So the believers provide a service to humanity that they don't believe in, but we are convinced about it, that our presence is a protection for them, for all of us. وَمَا كَانَ اللَّهُ لِيُعَذِّبَهُمْ وَأَنْتَ فِيهِمْ, and it was not for Allah to punish them while you are amongst them. This lam here is called lam al-juhud. It's a combination of the lam with kana that is negative. What do I mean kana is negative? Ma here is called ma an-nafiya. It turns this into negative. Can Allah, Allah was. Ma can Allah, literally Allah was not. But here we would translate would not, or it was not for Allah to punish them. Wa anta fihim. This is called waw al-hal, by the way, so that you see in the translation, I translate it as while. We don't say and you are amongst them. We say while you're amongst them. It's called waw al-hal, which is a lot in the Arabic language. Hatta that shows that the action after it will not happen until the action that precedes it happened first. So that's how we use the word hatta in this context. فَإِن طَلَّقَهَا فَلَا تَحِلُّ لَهُ مِن بَعْدُ حَتَّى تَنْكِحَ زَوْجًا غَيْرَهُ. So this verb تَحِلُّ will not occur until the verb tankiha, which comes after hatta, occurs first. That's what I meant here in this explanation. Let me translate this ayah first. I didn't translate it here. And if he divorced her, then she will not be halal, permissible for him until she marries a husband after him. Let me explain this first. So I'll put this in context. This ayah is talking about a man who divorced his wife for the third time. I don't want to digress in a detailed discussion of divorce. I'm just going to give you this alone, and we go back to grammar. Yeah. So if a man divorced his wife twice, and he took her back, so he married her, he divorced her, took her, so he's married her a second time, then divorced her a second time, and then took her back a third time. So now he is in the third marriage, the final marriage. Allah is saying, in this case, فَإِن طَلَّقَهَا, if he divorced her. So meaning he's divorcing her for a third time. فَلَا تَحِلُّ لَهُ مِن بَعْدُ, she will never be halal for him again after that. until she marries another husband other than him. And by the way, the word nikah, just to give you linguistic benefit, originally means intimate relationship, intimate contact. And by intimate, I mean that. I just don't say certain words like that. Anyway, so until she marries and consummates the marriage, the Prophet ﷺ made it very clear that if a woman marries after her husband divorced her for a third time, and of course she has to finish the iddah, there is a waiting period, and then after that she marries another husband, and then before they consummate the marriage, they divorce, it doesn't count as a marriage. That makes her halal for the first husband who already divorced her 3 times, or the previous husband, not necessarily the first. She could have been married before, and then she married someone else and he divorced her 3 times. So the previous husband who divorced her 3 times, she does not become halal for him again if that marriage that occurred was not consummated. So the marriage must be consummated. Also very important, has nothing to do with grammar, but I'm just mentioning here, seeing that we're talking briefly about this circumstances, is that it cannot be what's called a tahleel, meaning that a man feels sorry for his friend or his brother, whoever it is, that he divorced his wife 3 times. She's never halal for him. So he makes up his mind. He says, you know what, I'm going to marry her. We'll consummate the marriage. Then I'll divorce her. And then she'll become halal for them to get married again. That is not permissible. If the person does that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that Allah curses him. لَعَنَ اللَّهُ الْمُحَلِّلَ وَالْمُحَلِّلَ لَهُ. But the second part is conditional. So Allah curses the one who makes the wife halal for the former husband who divorced her 3 times. So the man who marries this woman with the intention, he has the intention that I'm doing this only so that I can divorce her after we consummate the marriage. And then she becomes permissible for her husband to remarry her. But by the way, pay attention here. There's 2 iddah and a marriage that's between his last divorce. He divorced his wife. So let's use some names. Let's say Khalid divorces Zainab, right? Khalid divorces Zainab for the 3rd time. Zainab is no longer halal for Khalid. So what happened? Zaid say, you know what? I'm going to make Khalid be able to marry his wife again. So I marry Zainab, spend a night with her, divorce her. Then after the iddah is finished, it's permissible for Khalid to marry her again. If he did it with that intention, Allah is saying Allah curses him. But then the Prophet ﷺ said, لَعَنَ اللَّهُ الْمُحَلِّلَ وَالْمُحَلِّلَ لَهُ. Allah curses Zaid and Khalid. Of course, Khalid is only cursed if he knew it and he asked Zaid to do that. So Khalid is upset with himself. Oh my God, I divorced my wife for the 3rd time. I love this woman. I really want to be back with her, but Allah didn't make it halal. Hey, Zaid, you know what to do. Zaid said, got you covered, buddy. So they do that. Anyway, so that's what this ayah is talking about. All I needed was hatta. So we say hatta tankiha, it's mansub. So we do the analysis. We say hatta تدخل على الفعل المضارع فتنصبه أو فتنصيبه. تنكح فعل مضارع منصوب وعلامة النصب الفتحة على آخره. The 8th example, فاء السببية المسبوقة بالنفي أو الطلب. The fa that is a justification for what comes after by what precedes it. Let me explain that. So اصنع المعروف. Let me put in the vowel for this, make it easy for you guys. اصنع. Oops, sorry. اصنع. And this is with sukun originally. But we put a kasra because iltiqa is sakina and there's a sukun on the lam. So that kasra on the ayn is kasra arida, and it's only put there because the lam has a sukun after it, and we cannot have two sukuns meeting. Remember, two sukuns meeting is not permissible in Arabic. So if we were to use the sentence, اصنع المعروف, and I use this example because I didn't find one in the Quran either. اصنع المعروف فتنال شكرا. اصنع المعروف is طلب. It's a command. We call it طلب. It's a request. So I say here, فا السببية, the fa that is the justification, al-masbuqa that is preceded by something negative or a request. So in this example, we have a request. So we have isna' al-ma'rufa that precedes the fa. So we say do good, fatanala shukra. Fa is fa sababiyya. It has been preceded by a talab. After it, there is present tense فعل مضارع. فعل المضارع becomes منصوب وعلامة النصب الفتحة in this case فتنال الشكر. So let me do the إعراب of the sentence once again. اصنع المعروف. اصنع فعل الأمر مبني على السكون. Listen to this. منع من ظهوره اشتغال المحل بالكسرة للتخلص من التقاء الساكنين. So the كسرة عارضة. المعروف مفعول به منصوب وعلامة النصب الفتحة على آخره. فالسببية تدخل على الفعل المضارع فتنصب إذا سبق بطلب فقد سبق بطلب. فالسببية تنال فعل مضارع منصوب وعلامة النصب الفتحة على آخره. الشكر مفعول به منصوب وعلامة النصب الفتحة على آخره. Now when I say these things, I know it's a lot and I don't expect you to remember all of them. Just focus on the lesson for today, and by constant repeating of these things, you will finally grasp them, and especially when we cover all of them, inshallah. What you have to remember here is this present tense verb is mansub because of the fa preceding it, and the fa is preceded by talab. Huh? So we say talab, but we also say nafi. So let me give you an example with the same example here. I'll use the same example and make it instead of talab, I make it nafi. So how do I make it nafi? So if I were to say to you la tabkhal, la tabkhalu, la tabkhal, sorry. So that's لا تبخل and you have to understand what this means. لا تبخل meaning don't be miserly. So as a result of not being miserly, you will be praised. Meaning when you spend money on people like that stuff. They praise you, they're grateful, they're thankful. So that's an example for that. واو المعية. The ninth is واو المعية المسبوقة بنفي أو طلب. Just like the fa is واو, but the واو is called واو المعية, meaning it is combined with the action before. I'll explain. The accompanying واو, call it واو المعية. I translate accompanying واو. That forbids the combination of what precedes it with the action of what when the action after it is present. Okay. ولما Allah says ولما يعلم الله الذين جاهدوا منكم ويعلم الصابرين. Okay, let's take a break from Maghrib here. Or let me just finish this. Actually, we have two more examples, so we'll pause here. Let's pause here for Maghrib and we'll come back after. So the ninth reason for the present tense verb to be mansub or in a state of nasb is waw. It's called waw al-ma'iyya. Waw al-ma'iyya. I call it the accompanying waw that forbids the combination of what precedes it. No, sorry. I finished that. Did I finish that? No, I didn't. Waw al-ma'iyya that forbids the combination of two actions. So let me explain this. Allah says, let me actually take you to the verse. So we see the whole ayah. Allah says, أم حسبتم أن تدخلوا الجنة ولما يعلم الله الذين جاهدوا منكم ويعلم الصابرين ويعلم الصابرين. So let me translate this first. Or do you think that you will enter Jannah and Allah does not know those who did jihad amongst you, those who struggled, those who strived and work hard. وَيَعْلَمَ الصَّابِرِينَ, and He knows those who are patient as a result of the jihad. So what this is saying is that, do you think that you will enter Jannah? Meaning, you will not enter Jannah until Allah knows those who do jihad amongst you. Jihad here, in the context, I'm talking about grammar, but I just want you to understand the grammar by understanding the meaning. So you need to know the context. Jihad in this context mean not only qital, but other than that. Being a Muslim is a constant jihad. So we are attempting to obey Allah and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We are attempting to walk the upright path. We are attempting to be Muslims, and there are many elements, internal and external, attempting to dissuade us, to discourage us, to prevent us, to stop us from walking this upright path, from obeying Allah and Rasulullah sallam. Struggling against any of those things, internal or external, is jihad. So Allah is saying here that pretty much, do you think you will enter Jannah and Allah does not find out those who really struggle? Meaning Allah is going to subject you to circumstances that will demand and require that you do jihad. And until Allah knows that you do jihad, and check this out, now this is the waw al-ma'iyya. The waw here is called waw al-ma'iyya. And as a result of doing jihad, you exemplify sabr. You show sabr. What is sabr? Sabr is that you remain strong. You remain constant. You don't waver. You don't break. You don't crumble. You don't give up, but you remain strong. We say patience. Patience means you bear whatever difficulties or circumstances you're subjected to, whatever the nature of the tests that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala subject us to as we are struggling against, whether it's our nafs, we're struggling against our nafs, our egos, our desires, our temptations, whether it's greed, whether it's lust, whatever it is, hate, fear, anything. We're struggling against these things. Social pressure, expectation, family, your wife is telling you don't do this, your husband is telling you don't do this, society, peer pressure, social expectation, politically correct. We're struggling against all of these things. And then we have to, at the same time, while we're struggling, exemplify sabr. That's why Allah called, that's why this waw is called waw al-ma'iyya. It's this along with this. So it's jihad combined with sabr. When we have this waw al-ma'iyya, it makes the present tense verb, which is what we're examining right now, not necessarily the meaning of the ayah, mansub. Some of the scholars, for instance here, This is a book. This book is called الجدول في إعراب القرآن الكريم by Muhammad ibn Abdul Rahim Safi, which is a relatively contemporary scholar, passed away about 60 years ago, 65 years ago. That he said that it's mansub with an mudmara. So it's not the waw itself that makes it mansub. It's a ya that an that is hidden behind it. That's a technicality. So the Arabic language works like that, you know. So he is saying here, let's come back to the ayah. وَيَعْلَمَ الصَّابِرِينَ. He is saying يَعْلَمَ is mansub, not by the waw al-ma'iyya itself, but there is a hidden an al-masdariyya between the waw and ya'lama that does the nasb. It's a technicality. Whether the waw directly makes it mansub, which is the opinion of most of the grammarian, but here he is saying no, it's an an mudmara. Regardless of how you perceive that, after the waw al-ma'iyya, the فعل المضارع will be منصوب وعلامة النصب الفتحة على آخره. So that's this example here. Sorry, where is it? Come back here. That's this example. وَيَعْلَمَ الصَّابِرِينَ. The final reason or 10th reason is أو التي بمعنى إلى أو إلا. What does it mean? Is you have a condition that we say if the person does what comes after, the condition will not kick in. But if he does not do it, it will happen. So this aw mean except. So it's saying that this will happen except if what comes after occurs. Let me use the example here for you to understand. We say يُعَاقَبُ الْمُسِيءُ. First of all, I didn't find an example in the Quran. There probably is, I just didn't find it. So I just use one that is very popular in Arabic language. يُعَاقَبُ الْمُسِيءُ أَوْ يَعْتَذِرُ. يُعَاقَبُ الْمُسِيءُ. يُعَاقَبُ from عَاقَبَ يُعَاقِبُ. It's the third form of the trilateral verb فَعَلَ عَاقَبَ, which means to punish. عَاقَبَ is past tense. يُعَاقِبُ is present tense. يُعَاقَبُ is the passive form of the verb. يُعَاقَبُ. يُعَاقِبُ means to punish. يُعَاقَبُ means to be punished. يُعَاقَبُ الْمُسِيءُ. The musi means the one who does sayyi, who does wrong, evil. The one who commits a crime. You can translate it that way. Let me translate it here. The one who does wrong is punis, punished, unless he asks for forgiveness. So here aw means unless. Aw means unless. So يُعَاقَبُ الْمُسِيءُ, the way we'll analyze this sentence is يُعَاقَبُ فعل مضارع مبني للمجهول أو لغير المذكور. It's in passive form of the verb. مرفوع وعلامة الرفع ضمته على آخره. المسيء نائب الفاعل. So we don't say المسيء is the فاعل. We say نائب الفاعل. It takes the place of the fa'il because it's originally the object of the verb يعاقب. For example, we'll say يعاقب الله المسيء. Allah punishes the one who does wrong. But then when we remove the word Allah, the subject, and we make the verb passive, we take the object and make it naibul fa'il. It takes the place of the fa'il, but it's originally the object. يعاقب المسيء. المسيء نائب الفاعل مرفوع وعلامة الرفع ضمته على آخره. أو we say أو بمعنى إلا أن الناصبة تدخل على الفعل المضارع فتنصبه. يعتذر فعل مضارع منصوب بأو بأو وعلامة النصب الفتحة على آخره. And the sign of nasb is this fatha. So what it is saying, the person who does wrong would be punished, or that's literally, he asks for excuse, meaning unless he asks for excuse. So if he asks to be excused, then he is not punished. Or here, in the case of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, يعتذر, we don't say يعتذر. This is a popular phrase in Arabic. In an Islamic context, we say أو يستغفر. أو يستغفر. He asks Allah for forgiveness. And these are the 10 reasons why the verb, the present tense verb, would become mansub. So if we look at the chart again, this is حالات جدول حالات إعراب الفعل المضارعة المعربة. The chart for the states of the analysis of the present tense verbs that are analyzed. The reason I say analyzed, because some of them are mabniya. The ones that are mabniya, hunna yaf'alna and antunna taf'alna. Those two are mabniya. The rest of the 9 patterns of the present tense verbs are mu'araba. The default state is that it's marfu'. And it can become mansub or it can become majzoom. It becomes mansub because of these 10 reasons, and we went through these 10 reasons. It becomes majzoom because of these 9 reasons, and we will go over those 9 reasons in the next lesson, inshallah. And this is all of that in the present tense verb. And I'll go ahead and send this document to you in WhatsApp so that you can go ahead, go over it. How do you do that? Attach a document. So go over this, and what I would like to suggest is if you take Suratun Nazi'at as an exercise, and the only reason I selected Nazi'at is because inshallah we will be going over it. And let me see if I can find the first example. So we will say ترجف الراجفة. ترجف فعل مضارع رجف يرجف أنت ترجف هي ترجف. So the فاعل here is الراجفة, which is the shaking. يوم ترجف الراجفة, and we say it's مرفوع. تتبعه الرادفة. تتبعه is also there. Give me 1 second. Is somebody saying something? I cannot hear you. Whoever is speaking, it's broken. يقولون. Is somebody attempting to speak? If you're attempting to speak,
Check, it was me. I was just reading and I have my microphone off. I mean on. So I wasn't trying to say anything really.
Okay, that's fine. يقولون present tense verb. أتاك past tense. نادى past tense. اذهب command. طغى past tense. تزكى present tense. أهدي present tense. And it's mansub here. وتخشى فتخشى, this is mansub also. أراه command. لا, past tense. كذب past tense. عصى past tense. أدبر past tense. يسعى present tense. حشر past tense. نادى past tense. قال past tense. So you can go through the verbs in the surah, and we will examine them in the light of today's lesson, بإذن inshallah. So summarizing today's lesson is that past tense verbs are always mabniya. Sometimes they're mabniya with fatha, sometimes mabniya with sukun, sometimes mabniya with ithbatun noon. Command form of the verb is also mabniya. Sometimes it's mabniya with sukun, sometimes it's mabniya with hasf, and sometimes mabniya with fatha. The command form of the present tense form of the verb is by default mu'raba is always mu'raba except for the feminine plural. هن يفعلن and أنتن تفعلن. Those two forms of the present tense verb are mabniya. You can say with sukun, that's the opinion of some of the scholars, or with fatha. I prefer to say with fatha because the noon with the fatha is part of the verb. It's not the pronoun. The pronoun is normally ضمير مستتر تقديره هن أو أنتن. The rest of the 9 patterns of the present tense verbs are marfu, mansub, or majzoom. The default state is marfu, and it's marfu with dhamma for 4 forms of the verb. هو يفعل, أنت تفعل, وهي تفعل, أنا أفعل, ونحن نفعل is مرفوع بالضمة. The other 5 forms of the verb that end with noon, أنت تفعلين, أنتما تفعلان, هم يفعلون, أنتم تفعلون, أنتما تفعلان, and هما يفعلان. Those 5 forms of the verb that end with the noon are marfu بإثبات النون, or you can say ثبوت النون, with the noon being there, and it's mansub and majroor بحذف النون. Then we studied 10 cases of the present tense verb becoming mansub, and we went through those examples, and you'll find them all over the Quran as we come across them, inshallah. And next week we will look at the reasons for the present tense verb being majzoom, inshallah. And that's today's lesson. Any question on the lesson itself? I'll take that as a no. And if you do, inshallah, we'll handle it the next class. وجزاكم الله خيرا. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.